Let's talk about something every homeowner dreads: water in your house. It's one of those things that feels like a complete nightmare. But if you understand what's actually happening and what you need to do, it can make all the difference. Today, we're going to break down the critical first 48 hours after water damage hits. This is the window of time where your decisions can mean the difference between a quick fix and a long, expensive problem. So let's dive in. Okay, so you see water where it shouldn't be. It's a terrifying moment for sure. You're probably thinking the water itself is the biggest problem, right? But in the fight to save your home, what's the one thing that's working against you more than anything else? Yep, it's the clock. The real enemy is time. Every single minute that ticks by allows that damage to spread and get worse, turning what might have been a manageable issue into a total catastrophe. Time is absolutely not on your side here. Now, this race against time, it gets even more intense when you live in a place with unique environmental challenges, like Orlando, Florida. Here, the very air and the ground under your feet can work against you, turning even a small leak into a major, major threat. Let's look at why. When you look at the risk factors in a place like Orlando, it's kind of like a perfect storm just waiting to happen. First, you've got the sheer amount of water. We're talking over 50 inches of rain every year. Then there's the air itself. With humidity that's consistently over 60%, it's basically the perfect breeding ground for mold. And it doesn't stop there. The ground, with its cracking limestone and shifting soil, puts constant stress on your plumbing. And if you're in an older neighborhood, those aging cast iron pipes are like a ticking time bomb. It's this combination of factors that makes moving fast absolutely critical. So with that kind of environment as the backdrop, let's start the clock. The second that water gets in, you are officially in a 48-hour countdown. And believe me, the stakes get higher with every tick. Within just the first hour, that water isn't just sitting there. It's actively spreading, wicking its way up walls, and soaking deep into carpets and the subfloor. Fast forward to 24 hours, and now you're talking structural damage. Drywall starts getting mushy and begins to crumble, and the wood framing of your home actually starts to swell and warp. But that 48-hour mark, that's the real deadline. This is where the real danger kicks in. See, it's not just about the water anymore. It's about what the water unleashes. In a warm, humid climate like Orlando's, that 24 to 48-hour window is a golden opportunity for mold spores to grab hold and just explode. Once that happens, you're not dealing with a water problem anymore. You're facing a potential biohazard that can have serious health effects on you and your family. So if the problem is basically a race against time and biology, the solution has to be just as precise and scientific. This is where the professionals come in. Their approach isn't just about grabbing a mop. It's a carefully controlled process, a science, designed to reverse the damage and stop future problems before they start. You're going to hear this acronym a lot, IICRC. It stands for the Institute of Inspection, Cleaning, and Restoration Certification. Now, the key thing to know is that this isn't some company. It's a global nonprofit that literally sets the standards for the entire industry. So when a technician is IICRC certified, it means they're trained in the proven science of how to do this right, not just winging it. This IICRC process is basically a three-pronged attack. It starts with emergency extraction, using these incredibly powerful truck-mounted pumps to get all that standing water out, and fast. Then comes the really amazing part, controlled structural drying. It's like a symphony of industrial-grade dehumidifiers and air movers all working together to pull moisture out of the very bones of your house. And finally, there's verification, the step where they use scientific instruments to prove that every last bit of hidden moisture is gone, leaving no chance for mold to make a comeback. And not all water is the same. The standards classify it into 3 categories. Category 1 is clean water, like from a burst pipe, no immediate health risk. Category 2, that's gray water, maybe from a leaky dishwasher, so it could have some contaminants. But Category 3, black water, from sewage or floodwaters, that is seriously hazardous stuff. And the category determines everything, from what can be saved to what has to be thrown out for safety. Okay, so once the scientific drying process is done, you're not quite out of the woods. The next phase is all about navigating the aftermath, dealing with your insurance company and making absolutely sure the job is truly, completely finished. To make sure your insurance claim goes smoothly, professionals arm you with a fortress of documentation. We're talking detailed photos, thermal imaging that can see hidden water behind walls, and daily moisture readings that track the drying progress minute by minute. They also use special software called Xactimate. Think of it as the universal language for insurance claims. It's the industry standard, and it creates estimates that adjusters understand and trust. This mountain of evidence just leaves no room for debate. So how long does all this actually take? Well, in a climate like Orlando's, a realistic timeline for complete structural drying is typically going to be 3 to 7 days. I know, it sounds like a while, but it can't be rushed. In fact, I was surprised to learn that trying to speed it up is one of the biggest mistakes you can make, because that's how you end up with hidden moisture, which leads directly to mold and rot later on. All right, we've covered the threat, we've covered the professional response. Now let's talk about you. What should you, the homeowner, actually be doing in those first critical moments? This is your game plan. Okay, in that first hour, your priorities are simple and crystal clear. First up, safety. Stop the water and turn off the power to the wet area, but only if it's safe to do so. Next, salvage. Move your valuables, your photos, anything important to a dry spot. Then, start documenting. Pull out your phone and take pictures and videos of absolutely everything. And finally, make the most important call. Get a certified professional on their way to you immediately. Just as important as what to do is knowing what not to do. Waiting until the morning to call for help, that's a huge mistake. Using a regular box fan to try and dry things out, you could just be spreading mold spores all over your house. And that shop vac you're tempted to use, it won't even make a dent in the moisture trapped deep inside your floors and walls. But the biggest mistake of all is just assuming something's dry because it feels dry to the touch. That is a recipe for disaster down the road. And really, that brings us to the final and maybe the most important question. After all the fans are gone and the floors feel dry, how do you really know the job is done? The goal isn't just to have a dry property. The goal is to have a property that is certified safe from all the secondary damage that can haunt a home for years to come. And that right there is the difference between a quick fix and a true restoration.